Thank you, everybody. My name's Chris Hale. As mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Countable, and excited to be here at Devex. I come here not as someone very familiar with development. My background is in capital markets, primarily in high net worth investing, and in financial technology. And I wanted to build a technology company that had some impact in the world, but also leveraged some of the skills and capabilities that I'd learned about managing money for large families and building software around portfolio reporting. And so my co-founder said, hey, if you want to do that, let's go to Rwanda. Maybe logical, but I didn't understand what that meant. So we went to Rwanda and met with a number of entrepreneurs there, and they were the distributors for major brands. So they were selling product for Abbott, and they were selling product for Becton Dickinson or Toyota or Cisco. And they were selling to a lot of the people that throw this conference, right? They were selling to USAID and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And they were doing it with manila envelopes and stacks of paper and WhatsApp messages and phone calls. And I said, these are mission critical supply chains that are doing some of the most important work in the world, and they're doing it completely analog. And there are technologies all over the place that would make a world of difference if we brought them to this market. And so that was kind of the idea, is that we can accelerate development and human flourishing, which I think are two really important distinctions, by introducing market mechanics, and I'm going to talk about what I mean by that in a second, to global development through technology. And it's those market mechanics that I believe are the time machine, that can accelerate timelines, that can accelerate the velocity of money, that can decrease prices and make major differences because they've done it across other markets all over the world and across other industries. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity to bring that to global development. But part of my story is a story of being the outsider. I didn't understand global development and the vocabulary and the organizations involved and the way that they worked. And it was hard and challenging to engage with them and to learn the right vocabulary. And so my goal here is to talk a little bit about that journey, but also how some outsiders that have experience in more traditional marketplace technology, capital markets investing, can bring some knowledge into this community that will really help a ton. So I want to start with the so what. This comes from the Countable platform, and Countable's technology helps to optimize, improve, and capitalize some of the most important distribution channels in the world. So the Global Fund's distribution channel, some of it runs on Countable. USAID's distribution channel can run on Countable. Some of BMGF's programs run on Countable. We're doing things with genomic sequencing for pandemic preparedness, which I know is a big focus of this conference, all running on Countable. And what we've done in building a marketplace technology is we've acquired data in a single place that no one seems to have. And that data has taught us a ton. So what you can see here is organizations like the large NGOs that are behind this conference work with big manufacturers to negotiate long-term agreements, right? And that's a huge impact because it lowers the pricing of diagnostics, it lowers the pricing of medicine. And in this case, blood glucose monitoring was $2.50. It cost 81 cents to ship it. That's a piece of information no one seems to have. I don't know why, but no one seems to have it. We have it because we built this marketplace technology. It was sort of the only thing I knew how to do, given my background, and we acquired this data. So that means it should cost $3.31 in the market, adding some reasonable profit, say 20, 30%, maybe $4. It actually costs $5.50 at the wholesale price. So the donors funding these programs are paying $5.50, even though they negotiated a $2.50 price. Now, the crazy thing is, once the goods get on the shelf, they cost $19. Right, so my mind, given my background, says time is money, right? Money is time. There's a huge amount of money in global development allocated to solving these problems. We have, big goals like the UN Sustainable Development Goals, big goals around COVID remediation and pandemic preparedness we've all talked about. And they're all stated in things like dollars per year, right? And if we're talking about dollars per year, you actually can change outcomes and change time if you change dollars per year. We've analyzed this data across 3,000 different procurements over the course of 4 years and seen an average of 60% overpayment across those markets. Now, why is that there? Why do market mechanics matter? So let me go back quickly to that story. These are all the vocabulary words that I had to learn when I was coming into the global development world. I don't think I knew any of them. Maybe impact. I probably knew impact. Findings and learnings is logical. But pretty much everything else on this page I had never heard of before. All right, and this was all new to me to understand how the development community thought. And you know, some of these words are great to understand. Things like absorption, right? That means how much money got put toward the problem versus what was committed to the problem. You guys know this better than I do. I don't have to go through this. But it was this translation of understanding that really clicked in my mind, that solutions that readily exist in the world and have been applied to other problems that I will speak about can make major differences in our understanding of how to accelerate global development timelines. So this slide might be controversial, but I had 15 minutes, so you have to put a controversial slide in, right? Development is a massive business with a global market generating enormous profits for product and service providers. In my experience as an outsider, this is a fact, not an opinion. And usually, when you have a market like that, private enterprise will come in and compete. And they will compete to make it very efficient. Right? That process is something that I've not seen happen at scale in the development space, and I think it would make a world of difference. And what I hope to do over the next few minutes is show you how it's made a world of difference in other sectors and really benefited the consumer. Right? And in this case, the consumer is the beneficiary, is the patient in the global health space, is the student, right, in the case of education, like the last speaker. So these are some of the vocabulary of markets, right? And I have to tell you a funny story. So I find myself often in rooms, we don't come in these kind of rooms, Zoom rooms, with people that come from NGOs, right? Come from Gavi, come from the Global Fund, come from BMGF, FIND, and others. And they'll say to me, Chris, I was speaking the other day with X, Y, and Z person, and they said they wanted to talk to my banker friend. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, have I met them? Oh, Chris, that's you. You're my banker friend. I've never been a banker in my entire life. I have no banking background. But I speak in market terms when talking about development, and so it's given me this reputation of being a banker. And that's fine, because part of the purpose of markets is actually to bring capital into these opportunities to make them more efficient, right? And the more money you bring in, honestly, the more the consumer wins, right? And it's a tricky one for development, right? It's a tricky one because there's a friction, right, between purpose and profit that development sits in the middle of. So a couple examples that are just for fun. Right, in 1980, a stock trade cost $45 per share and could cost more than $100,000 to execute. Today, some of you might have done it at lunch on your smartphones for free. Why? Why did that happen? 3 reasons that happened. First reason is technology brought information into the hands of the consumer. All right, the second reason is price discovery created competition. And then the third reason that's the most important, I think the most critical for the global development community, is that information asymmetry was destroyed, right? Meaning these brokers that were printing money on Wall Street knew quite a few things that the consumers didn't know. That's happening in markets across the world in development space, and it's happening because the people that implement development are in business. They are distributors, they're freight forwarders, they're customs clearing agents, they're retailers, they're wholesalers. And so they're exploiting this information asymmetry to their benefit. Anybody know what this is? This is kind of a fun one. This is a Shiba Inu, and I use this kind of as a joke. So a Shiba Inu is a dog, but it also became a cryptocurrency. This is like an Elon Musk kind of crazy town thing with cryptocurrency, but it launched in August of 2020. Within 1 year, it was trading at volumes of $1 billion, and you could do the same thing by trading this on your smartphone in your pocket. Now, Shiba Inu is not even a thing, right? It's not a malaria diagnostics test. It's not a COVID vaccine. It's not a tablet for a student, right? It doesn't do anything in the world, but very quickly, because of market dynamics and market competition, the infrastructure to get this done was built. And the price of a Shiba Inu token was known around the world instantaneously. My thesis is that we can bring the same kind of technology, the same kind of price discovery, and therefore the same kind of benefit to consumers to the development space. So here's an example of my time machine. And again, I had 15 minutes, so I had to come up with a cute title. But if the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 3 is estimated by the WHO to cost $370 billion a year by 2030, and the average donor is overpaying for much of what they buy in market by 60%, we can do one of two things, right? We can accelerate that capital and get these goals achieved faster, right? Or we can reallocate that capital to further improving opportunities. And that's where I believe that market technologies are a time machine for global development. So, back to the conclusion is none of this is magical technical innovation, right? It's all out there. The ability to capture pricing through a smartphone is out there. The ability to aggregate demand is out there. The ability to synthesize that demand into allocation is all out there. Supply chain technology that can tell you what the cost of goods sold in South Korea are versus what they cost when they landed in a port in Dar es Salaam is out there, right? We just need to commit to stitching it all together as an imperative of development so that we can bring this kind of transparency to the massive amounts of capital that have been allocated to these very, very important problems. These are some of the donors we serve on our marketplace today. Our members sell to them. They deliver mission-critical components to their programs. And as an outsider, I'm coming here today to try to meet, learn, and educate as much of the community as I can so we can bring these kinds of innovations to some of the world's most critical problems. Thanks.